Your conscience says you does. And I would submit, I'm going to go straight for your conscience. I'm going to bypass your intellect right now and go straight for your conscience, my atheist friend. You need a Savior. That thing that gnaws, that almost every society, in fact, I would say every society has, that says, we need to appease the God. We need to appease the God. It's your conscience. God has written His law on your heart. And there is something inside of you that says, I've broken it. Here is why you're here, human being, why you're different than the animals. You are designed to be God's representative on earth. You're different than a monkey. This ridiculous theory that you evolved from a rock into a monkey, into a human being. You're not a monkey. You know, just because you share maybe 96% of the DNA doesn't, hey, you're on the other side of the fence at the zoo, okay? There's a big difference. You're not a monkey. You're God's image bearer, and our job is to be God's image bearer. So He said, I'm going to let creation know what I'm like by creating somebody like me. And so every time we sin, we tell the world that's what God is like. Hell is so reasonable when you consider it in this light. By the way, this is the crux of the debate tonight. This really is the crux of the debate. You perhaps heard it several times tonight from Eddie. Oh, turning Lot's wife into a pillar of salt. That wasn't fair. Says who? Eddie? Oh, people dying in tragedies. That doesn't seem right. That's not fair. Really? Says who? Eddie? Consider it from God's perspective. We are God's image bearer. Every time you take the Lord's name in vain, you tell the world that God is not worthy to be honored and praised. He made everything, including you, and He's provided everything for you, every stitch of clothing, the beautiful beach and the ocean to enjoy, and food and family. And you never say thank you, but instead you take His name, and instead of saying S-H-I-T, you use His name. Eddie wouldn't do that with Adolf Hitler. But you do it to God's name. And you tell creation, that's what God is like. If you have ever had a sexual thought that was lusty, looked at pornography, you know what you say to the creation? God's a pornographer. That's what God is like. God is smutty because you are an image bearer of God. Do you think He's happy about that? Every time you tell a lie, you say to creation, He's a liar. You take something, you're a thief. Every time you make a decision without consulting Him, you say, I'm in charge, not Him, me. You think He's upset with that? Every time you didn't honor His representative, which is your parents, you sinned against Him as His image bearer and said to the world, God isn't worthy of my attention or respect. That's why He's so angry. And that's why He wipes out people. And that's why He's going to wipe it out again. And from His perspective, it is entirely reasonable. 2 Peter chapter 3 talks about you, my atheist friend. Don't think the Bible is supernatural? There's a prediction in the Bible that talks about you. It says this. It says, in the last days, which are the days we're living in, scoffers will come with their scoffing. And here's what they're going to say. Everything is the same as it's always been. You just heard that tonight. Uniformitarianism, sitting right on the other side of the stage. Everything is the same. And then you deny the Creator, and then you wipe out the world with the flood. You know that wacky Noah story? God created the flood, the two animals into the boat, that silly thing. You deny that so that you can deny that there's going to be a day of judgment. That's why you do it. And that's why you're suppressing the truth. Because you don't want to deal with that. The fulcrum of the issue here, the difference between Eddie and me, is pride and self-righteousness. And a failure to admit, I have blown it big time. I am wrong. I am not in charge. I am not God. He is. I get on my knee. I turn from my sins, forsake my sins, put my trust in that Savior. The Bible predicted that you would be saying the very things that you're saying tonight. And the reason that you do that, you suppress the truth in unrighteousness so that you can go about living whatever way you want to. Creation, you know there's a Creator. Communication, He's revealed exactly who He is in this book. God hasn't given us enough. He gave us a book. Supernaturalism? Well, of course Eddie thinks all the miracles are crazy. He doesn't believe that God could create the world. Let me tell you something. If God could create the world, which He did, He can get you a book to tell you how He did it. But inside of here, the problem is this. It tells you how you're supposed to live, and it tells you how you've been living. And your conscience says, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And so tonight, I would simply beg you, if you are a free thinker indeed, think about creation and that there's a creator. Think about the communication that He has given. Think about your conscience and think about the kindness of God demonstrated when Jesus Christ died on a cross for you so that He might be glorified. And that's why you're